good morning. I want to welcome you to our second day of our CTE 101 series for counselors and administrators. We hope that this is going to be another fruitful day for everybody and that you walk away just feeling like you know more about what makes CTE great, what makes it tick, and then the impact it has upon what you do during the course of your work. So here's an overview of what we're going to be covering today. We're going to jump into a bit about the essential elements of a high-quality CTE program. We're going to talk about some more of the local career paths that you need to know about. We're going to dive into some data and reports about the new CTE performance indicators. We're going to share about some upcoming web chats, scholarship opportunities. We're going to hear from Barstow College today. Victor Valley College will be at our next day. And then we're going to have a recap, and we're going to take some questions. So hope it's going to be a good day for you. I feel confident everybody's going to walk away with more information than you came here today. So thanks for being here, and let's dive in. All right, so the essential elements of a high-quality CTE program. And, you know, a reminder, I should have introduced myself. I am Matt Wells. I'm the director for Mountain Desert Career Pathways, our 9-district CTE consortium. So you have these 12 elements of the essential elements of a high-quality CTE program. And remember, we've had 11 for years, and they added a 12th one. You may see these in a little bit different format if you're to look them up on the CTE website, but essentially this is the gist of it. So we're going to hit a handful of these. So first off, career exploration guidance. So we want to know, in order to be effective at career exploration and guidance in the classroom and at the school site, it's important to know about what careers are in the area. So I'm going to share a little bit about mechatronics today. We're going to talk about industry partnerships. Again, if we want students to be prepared for success in an industry, we need to have partnerships so we understand what those career opportunities are and how to counsel students to get into those positions. System alignment. So that has lots of implications, but one is like within your school site, the master schedule needs to be set up so that students can actually complete the sequence. They don't have to do things out of order, and that is viable for them to finish the CTE sequence in whatever industry fields you're offering by the time they graduate. And then also you want to have system alignment in the sense of like middle school to high school, that students are exploring, have kind of a sense of career exploration at the middle school level so they can transition to the high school informed and able to select their pathways so that they can hit the ground running. And then obviously system alignment on the back end in terms of when the students are graduating high school. We want to make sure that students have a clear path and understanding of what they need to do next, whether that's they're going to one of the community colleges, they are going to a trade school, or they're going to an apprenticeship program, direct entry into the workforce. Those options, we want to know what those are and help students make informed decisions. And finally, the evaluation, accountability, and continuous improvement focused on, I mentioned today we're going to talk about CCI and some reports and stuff, and with the changes obviously to as implementation of CCI and that kind of being a developing thing, it's important to know what's important to have in the SAS or in the SIS system correctly, and what kind of data is impacting the overall school picture and success. Lastly, and then CT outreach, promotion, marketing, and communication. So one component of a CT is that you have to be promoting your programs. You have to be outreaching, especially for instance, like promoting to your non-traditional students. So that would be like your females in construction or males in a nursing program. You need to be doing outreach as well as outreach to your subgroups. So part of this, I mentioned there's data and continuous improvement is an analysis of how your subgroups are doing. So are your subgroups are they participating at the same rate as their overall proportion to the school? Are they being successful once they're in the program? Both non-traditional and your subgroups. So that stuff is important. And so you need to be analyzing those things. And then obviously, as part of your marketing, using your marketing outreach is using effective best practices. So like you're having maybe a mentor from the field who is a female carpenter, or somebody who is an African-American male nurse, those kinds of things. So those kinds of individuals can be great mentors, great guest speakers, maybe students who are in the program who are now in the industry. Those kind of things are fantastic, really good best practices. And this, just as a side note, one of those best practices too is like the earlier that we can catch students, like data show or research indicates, if students grab that passion at the middle school level, early high school, they're far more likely to continue that passion as they continue into that field, both in the secondary and the post-secondary level and into success. The later you catch them, the less likely they are to have that stick-to-itiveness within the sector. So important little note there. All right, so I'm going to dive into some local career paths that you need to know about. And so last time we talked about aviation, some manufacturing and stuff. And then today what we're going to talk about is mechatronics. So this is, we touched on it a little bit before, but some definition in terms of what mechatronics is. You may have heard that word. It is mecha is like the mechanical, and electronics, or tronics is like the electronics or electrical. So electronics and electrical, a little bit different fields. However, you kind of get the gist of it. It is the combination of mechanical skills and electronic skills. And so we have some photos here from our programs and various activities across our region, and that kind of convey what that means. This is like the applied hands-on, like you can fix things, you can fabricate things, you can kind of troubleshoot electronics and stuff. So the idea is that, for instance, like a small manufacturer who has 50 employees or something may not have a mechanic and somebody who's a specialist in electronics or in kind of electrical things. Electrical and electronics are a little different, but it's kind of that same root. So they may have somebody who kind of has that whole package and knows multiple facets is to be really good. They can come in, they have like tool knowledge, they can read charts, they can read plans, they can measure things, they can do conversions. And then someone like an Exquadrum, who's very specialized, or a General Atomics or a Mitsubishi Cement or whatever, who has their kind of niche, they can take that person and kind of mold them into what they need at that place. But that ticket through the door, that like golden ticket that looks really nice, is the student who has those broad skills in the mechanical and the electrical. Now the thing is, I'm kind of jumping down to the bottom bullet or arrow on that slide. It's applicable across a ton of sectors. So it's, like I said, it's in aviation, aerospace, your manufacturing plants, your transportation, like so trucking companies that are fabricating and fixing things, logistics, like Walmart or Big Lots, and you hear in the conveyor systems, the robotic systems, construction. There's a ton of application across this realm. So what's important here is that we don't have a mechatronics program at any of the districts, like that's dubbed specifically Mechatronics 1, Mechatronics 2, but the skill sets that students are learning in these in a wide variety of programs that are at every district are going to help students to understand what the transition point is, or it's going to develop that skill set so that they can transition to some cool opportunities. The pictures I have on here are from our kids or from our programs. So this one at the top of the young lady using the rivet gun is that's from the airframe and power plant program at VBC. We took some kids on a field trip there. So that's one component that could have some nice transition into mechatronics. Down here you have a picture from a skating program, and down here a welding program. And so these two are, they're programmable logic controllers, PLCs you may have heard of. Students are learning some kind of how those things work, how those things function. And it's not that a student's going to know how that middle picture, how to do that in the high school program, and they're going to go get picked up by a program and say, all right, you're in charge of our PLCs. No, but they've got a functional knowledge of understanding what those things are. And that is a huge advantage to people who are coming in who have no clue what those things are. So that's our idea, is we want students to develop these skill sets in their automotive program, in their aviation program, in their construction. And so they may be like, at XYZ high school, there's not a manufacturing program, but there is an automotive program. And I know I don't want to be an auto tech, but I do want to go work in aviation, or I want to work in manufacturing. Like, they can develop a skill set, and on a resume or like in an interview skill, they can understand, like, I need to highlight the fact that I know how to use tools. I know how to read blueprints. I know how to, name in that mechanical, electrical, electronic skill set, and they can name those things, and that's going to give them a nice leg up in the competition. Because what we had stressed last time when we all met in November was that there's that gap between the technical jobs and our programs where companies are having to hire from out of the area. They'll want to get out of that business. These things are going to help them to get into those cool jobs. So in the middle, you can see some of the efforts that we're taking in this space right now. So you may have heard of MDEP, the Mountain Desert Economic Partnership. We have a team that's really focused on mechatronics right now. And that team and the staff at MDCP are offering things like web chats. And that's bringing industry and students connected on a Zoom call so they can hear about what's going on. We're going to talk about web chats a little bit later, but just know that that's a good point where students and teachers and yourselves, if you're interested, can come and hear from industry and hear directly like what opportunities are there and how do you get into those jobs. We're doing teacher roundtable discussions, and where we're getting industry comes to some of our teacher collaborations, kind of share here's what mechatronics is. Because one thing about our teachers, they all are from industry. You all know that. Our CTE teachers all have industry experience, but back to like the automotive example, their experience may be as like a service in the service industry for like automotive diagnostic service and repair. And they may not have a bunch of experience in like the mechatronics world in manufacturing or something. No fault of their own, absolutely. But these give us an opportunity for them to hear a bit about what those like other avenues off of that road are into different career paths. So we're doing teacher roundtable discussions. Outside of the COVID world, we were doing jobs like some field trips, and we're building up some teacher opportunities to do some job shadowing. There's some apprenticeship exploration. So one of that MDEP team and some industry partners are working on like an apprenticeship option for like mechatronics apprenticeship. You may have heard of the Victor Valley College High Desert Training Center, their new facility out at SCLA. And so they're doing some incumbent worker training for like, existing employees and upskilling them, which anytime you're upskilling employees, there's a chance that those folks are going to be lifted up, and you got some nice job openings for entry-level positions. And again, this is where people who have these skills can apply and have some good knowledge there. Hopefully down the road, we'll have a nice transition from like high school programs where they're, doing some introductory work and transitioning to some apprenticeship model up in the high desert, like at the High Desert Training Center. We're working on those things. So, and then those will be good. The moral of the story is there's lots of opportunities out there, but students just need to understand that their skill set is not just applicable to maybe the program that they're in. And maybe they have a passion for that, and that's great, but these skill sets are really in demand across a lot of areas. We talked about General Atomics last time. A handful of them worked in a bunch of different industries, like sales industry to automotive, and you name it. It's developing that skill set that has nice some cross-pollination to other opportunities. So next slide, Jessica. Here's a labor market snapshot. And again, you can find all these on our website under the resources tab at the top. We've got a bunch of these in a bunch of different industry sectors. If the first time you're seeing this, Andy Page on our team put these together. And this is local data. We really wanted to focus on high desert job or labor market data so that you're not looking at the entire San Bernardino Riverside County, which is oftentimes or two counties where we get the information. So this is kind of again combination of some of the things you've seen before, but on the side you've got some employers like Cal Portland in the cement industry, ComAv in the aviation, Exquadrum in aerospace, Liberty Utilities, a utility company, right? A bunch of different things. But when they get together and we bring these industry folks together and say, what are the skill sets you need? They're overlapping a lot of things. Again, you know what tools are, you know how to use them, you know what tool for what job, you can read blueprints, you can do functional math, you can do like applied mathematics. So it's not just a volume formula. You can solve for volume and you know what the purpose is or whatever. And so a lot of good information on here. You can see it's primarily males, but females make tremendous technicians. Everyone we hear from says that whether from industry or in the educational space is that these about women's attention to detail or tend to have an attention to detail and just a methodical approach to their work that is really beneficial. And so they make great text, they make great millwrights and stuff like that. So really a good space for them to be in. You can see on the right side, age breakdown, there's 21% of folks in this space are going to be retiring in the next 5 to 7 years. That's a huge opportunity for local individuals to make a really good career, because if you look down in the bottom in the middle, you can see that the wages that these folks can make are fantastic. And the salary you can see down on the bottom right, we've got some hourly and annual. There's some really good opportunities for here to make a really good long-term careers. Everyone that we meet in these spaces, you can just feel the passion when they're sharing. They're like, man, I worked on this dump truck and the tires are 12 feet tall. Like and each wheel has its own motor and I got to, whatever. And you can just kind of hear them geek out on the really cool stuff that they get to do. And so these are jobs that they're neat places to work. And through the web chats, the field trips we do normally, they're neat opportunities for people to kind of see what's out there. However, next slide, and before we start the next slide, Jessica and Carrie and worked really hard this year to come up with this mechatronics video. So one thing about mechatronics is you hear that buzzword, but if you were to go on YouTube and look up mechatronics, chances are you're going to get a video from like Indiana or something like that. We want kids to see what are local things that people can get into. So the more that we can expose students to understanding those local jobs, where, I mean, I grew up here. Many of you know I know many of you grew up here too, but like many students in the area think there's no opportunity here. And we know that couldn't be further from the truth. So we want to expose them to what those opportunities are, kind of humanize those opportunities so they know that dusty looking plant behind them or that they drive by every day, that thing's actually pretty cool once you get inside and there's neat opportunities there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jessica if we could show that video, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Mechatronics is a mixture of electronics, mechanics, robotics,
mechanical, electrical, electronics, computer programming.
If you like working with your hands and you enjoy figuring something out, figuring out a problem, that's what mechatronics is. If you're the type of individual that likes to tear apart the remote control because it stopped working, tears into your car because your car stopped working and you want to figure out what's going on with it, that's mechatronics.
If you're into things always changing, always having to keep up with new technologies, new standards, this is definitely your field.
So I have a degree in mechatronics. I choose mechatronics mostly because I tended to like more of the electronics and mechanical side of engineering.
People coming into the workplace now, it's technology, so it's constantly changing. You're learning something new every day.
I kind of like seeing how something that I might have programmed through a computer sends an electrical signal to a mechanical device and does physical changes to a certain process.
So one of the things that I enjoy about this is it's not 100% a desk job. I get the opportunity to be out in the field.
As a native to the high desert, born and raised here, I can tell you that there are many different opportunities available here for somebody who's interested in mechatronics.
All of my interns, whether they're mechanics or operators or electrical interns, all start off in the $15 an hour range, somewhere in there. You can probably expect entry-level operator positions to be in the $20-some an hour range. Get a few certificates under your belt and move up through the 30s. Today, my senior operators and my senior mechanics, they're probably well over $100,000 a year with some really great governmental benefits.
What we look for in this industry and all industry are self-starters. Looking for people who are problem solvers, people who can think on the fly and adjust as necessary.
So I think for me today, when I'm hiring young individuals right out of high school, the skill sets that I'm looking for, good math skills, good technical skills on computer skills, are just good people skills.
If students are interested in working in a utility, like Liberty Utilities, start in high school. Start with your career classes. Start with science, start with math.
So if you're looking to get into mechatronics as a career, in high school, the first thing you can do is sign up for a class like auto shop.
Welding, anything that has to do with any of the mechanical components, as well as math.
Any type of class that's going to force you to work with your hands, as well as problem solve with your brain. So if you enjoyed those high school CTE classes and you're interested in pursuing it further with an education at the college level, check out some of the programs that you might have at your local junior college, such as VVC or Barstow.
I would start taking tours and calling plants and see what you can do just to already give yourself that step forward and start getting into the field.
There is a labor shortage that is going to be happening within the skilled trades. And this mechatronics is what is going to be taking over the skilled trades. Those career fields are here locally, and there's so many opportunities to be successful and to continue to grow.
There are tons of mechatronics opportunities across the high desert. Aviation, aerospace, transportation, utilities, manufacturing, logistics, engineering, mining, the list goes on. If you want to build a skill set with a promising future in our community, mechatronics is it.
right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I think Jessica posted the link in the chat, and so you can make that available. It's on YouTube and stuff. So hopefully you enjoy that. And shot by a local company, which was Cranbox out in Apple Valley. So trying to keep it local. Very good stuff. Here's my question. So my question for the chat for the Starbucks giveaway is, what components make up the term mechatronics? So if you can answer that, throw it in the chat. Just will monitor it. With that, thanks for listening to me, folks, and we'll go to the next part of the presentation.
One thing I wanted to add to about that is that the Cranbox company is also owned by one of our local graduates from Silverado High School. So she's a wonderful young lady, and we also love supporting our local industry.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carrie O'Neill, and I am with Mountain Desert Career Pathways as a career specialist and a pathway coordinator. Just want to thank Matt for that great presentation on the outlook that we have, and he's always super excited and so energetic when he was talking about CTE. We appreciate your enthusiasm as well. Matt mentioned, just how CTE programs are evaluated, and that data is a big part of how we're measured. And so thinking about this presentation, I was like, well, I received this information about the changes for the CCI and data and reporting. And so I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of what those changes were. Okay, go ahead and advance the slide if you would. Thanks, Jessica. So we have on the 2020 data and reports, there's been a change. So the schools are not required and measured by the dashboard data for 2020. So they've really, took into consideration all the changes that happened in March. And so one of the things that they did was they suspended that reporting. Now, state law says that, hey, even though you suspended that reporting, we still have to show what would have been reported. So the reliable and valid data that would have been reported. So you guys can actually go and see that data from 1920, from the 2020 dashboard. And I'm going to share with you some information. I'm going to actually go to it and give you what that report would look like. But we just want to make sure that you guys are aware of these changes. I don't know your role in terms of what how to use the data, but it's always super important to know where to find it and if we're using it or not. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so this is the just an example of what the CCI would look like in 2019. As you can see that we always have our CTE pathway completers. Students are measured by their SMART or balanced assessment scores, whether they received college credit, advanced placement, their international baccalaureate participation and progress, whether they completed their A through G requirements, the state seal by literacy and leadership military science. This is for the 2019 dashboard data, okay? Now, I also want to make sure that when you're on that link, that you can always go to view the description. Before we actually had, we actually gave you the flyer and information that looked like this. But if you're in the dashboard and you want to actually see what those measures are, their description, you can just click on that and it'll tell you what their description. So I think that's super important, especially when you're trying to review, oh, how do they become a completer or prepared? So I want to show you the actual changes for 2020. So this is a little different. And if you're looking, you can see the CTE pathway completion, it looks the same until you get down after the leadership requirement or the leadership area. It talks about registered pre-apprenticeship, non-registered pre-apprenticeship, and the transitional classwork and work-based learning experiences. So these are additional measures that are now on the dashboard. And what we're noticing is that every time we get a requirement for data and reporting, it's like, oh my gosh, now it shows up on the CCI measure. So It's just something to think about, especially if you're, if you're part of your district's committees on different ways to improve your program. So if you want to know what those different measures are, those new measures are, you can just click right there and expand those, the descriptions, and it shows you what they are right here. So just in case you're like, wow, this is new and I don't know what it is, this is where you can get some more information on that. Alrighty. Any questions on that? So just make sure that if you guys have any questions as we're going through this, like, where's that? How do you do this? Or anything, just go ahead and unmute and just ask them. It's perfectly fine. We're here for you guys, actually, Okay, so I'm going to go back and allow Jessica to share. So I'm going to stop sharing and have her get back on. She's going to take us where we left off. So one thing that was that I found out through the updates is that we're not going to be measured by compared with the 2020. So when 2021 dashboard data comes out, they're going to be taking the 2019 data and then 2021 data to compare those to find out, where the improvement is. So just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. Okay, any questions on that before we move on? Okay, the link is there. Just, I would say, visit the CDE website and on the dashboard data and changes and things like that, if you want to dive deeper into that. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, this is the another measure that Matt had mentioned earlier on about how we're surveying our CTE completers that have graduated. And this is an important survey because, it's a requirement that CTE programs must do to be eligible for funding in the future. And so when districts don't do this, they won't be able to apply for funding in the future. So it's super important. That dashboard data is submitted through your student information system and then CalPads, and your districts will have a process and procedure in place to do this, but it's due by March 5th. So if you're hearing things like, oh, I don't know how to get a hold of the student, and you know how to, it's, hopefully you'll be able to connect the dots and help the person that's in charge of processing this information out. So what's on the survey? There's about 9 questions. It's not real long. Basically, the students are answering what they're doing now. So after graduation, what are they doing? What kind of education are they and training programs are they involved with? Are they going to like a vocational school? Are they going to a community college or university, things like that? Are they enlisted in the military? We do have to ask if they're incarcerated or not. Are they employed, and then what level of employment and what field or industry are they employed in? They also want to know, maybe someone's actually received some type of certification or credential. Maybe they actually received their associates already, because we know we have students that are going to and taking college courses concurrently. So maybe they've completed that already. Okay, go ahead and advance. Thank you. All right, so we talked about maybe your, who's conducting the survey. So your CTE coordinators and administrators, they're going to be the ones that are going to be taking the charge on this. Now, some of you may or may not be involved. It just depends on your district. But we appreciate all the work that you're doing if you are involved in that, because it's super important. And this is the reason why, is because we are getting funded based on this work that we're doing and you're doing. So we have a lot of different ways to contact people. We have many people are just using an email or texting the survey link, and then the students will answer that survey and will be done. We don't have to call them. That's like the last resort for most of us. So MDCP has created that Google survey for them. And so once we get the data, we actually are going to collect the data at MDC at the regional level, so we can actually be informed and help support districts and see where we can fill the gaps if there are. Okay. Remember, we talked about it's important because this is part of our requirement to apply for funding. It's that requirement from the CTE. This is how we're evaluated and held accountable for what we're doing and trying to improve our programs. So who gets surveyed? Now that's the question, is all CTE completers from the prior year. So we're in 2020-21. We're going to be talking to students that are graduates from 2020. Now, how did they graduate? If they got a high school diploma, that's the person that we were going to survey. If they just get a certificate of completion, so your SPED students, if they're just receiving that, those are the students that are going to be surveyed. If you have adult schools, this is one of the additional areas that we can say, oh, we have a completer that actually went to adult school and got their high school diploma, and they are fitting in that cohort of students, they're going to be surveyed. If a student received a high school equivalent certificate, so with the GED or the high set in 2020, then they would be included as well, or pass the proficiency exam. Then we have just, if they completed high school or completed 12th grade and they didn't graduate for some reason, they're still going to be, and they have a completer status, they are part of that group of surveyed students. All right, any questions on that? Okay, all right, remember a CTE completer is a student that has went through their CTE pathway, and that pathway is going to consist of 300 hours or more. They received a C- or better in their capstone course. And remember that your district has CTE pathway maps, and your CTE coordinators most likely have shared all that information with you. But an example would be if someone was in the auto pathway, CTE pathway, and it was a 2-year pathway, they took the concentrator course, and then they took the capstone course, and they got a C- or better in that capstone course. So that would be the definition of what a completer is. Now remember, we can have a 3-year pathway as well, but this is just an example. Always go to your CTE administration or your coordinator to, if you're concerned with that. And it's just, this is a reminder of how important that completer status is. So if you're aware of whether a student is, could be a completer or not, obviously you have an influence on that. So we appreciate everything that you guys are doing. All right, so what's next with this data? How will the state use this data to evaluate our CTE programs? We talked about that before. Our funding is based on a lot of this data. The new data based off of what I showed you about the pre-apprenticeships and things like that. Now we're going to be measured in a different way. So we need to be cognizant and aware of all of the changes. And so that's what this is just about, just to let you guys know that, hey, there's some changes that have come about. And I think one of the most important thing is that your CTE data from 2000, or the dashboard data for 2019 and 2021 are the pieces that will be used in the future dashboard, and that was by the state. And if you want to go on the website for CTE and look up dashboard changes, and you'll find all that information there. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know, or unmute. It's fine. Okay. All right. So my question is, what students are surveyed in the post-secondary status survey? If you can be specific, that's great and wonderful.
I'm going to take you through the career exploration and guidance piece and our upcoming web chat that we are having. So we're super excited about that. We have a college and career ready essential skills 3 days. We're doing starting in February 19th, 26th, and March 5th. Basically, we're going to have Mrs. Moreno do a basic lesson on each one of these, what to do, what to not do. And then we have a really interesting piece to it where it's our insider scoop. We have several industry leaders throughout the community attending different ones, and they're going to give the students the insight of what to do, what they like, what they don't like. As we know as educators, we can preach to the choir, but when they actually hear it from someone signing their paycheck, it becomes real. So we're super excited to see how that turns out. So I will also show you where you can register for that. Next web chat we also have going simultaneously is our skills trade on February 17th, March 1st, and March 8th. And then these are our industry partners that will be presenting on the right hand side of your screen. And so I wanted to take just a quick second and show you, because a lot of you in the post survey from the first chat had expressed interest, on wanting to know more about our web chat so that you can give them to your students and colleagues. There are a couple different ways that you can reach those. You can go to the educator page or the student page and click on that, and it'll bring you down to all of the upcoming events that we have going on at MDCP. You can click on them, register, and attend the events, or as a teacher can register once and then just pass the link on to your students. The other piece about this that's very nice is any of our past recordings are located here, so you can review those and show them to your classes, students, anyone of interest. Next thing I'd like to talk about is we have, in talking about promotion of CTE, outreach, marketing, and communications of CTE, MDCP got a wonderful opportunity to take over the Oral Ground Foundation CTE scholarship, and we are extremely excited about this. We will be offering Oral Grande will be offering seven $5,000 scholarships to be awarded to graduating seniors. There are a few stipulations to that. The deadline to the scholarship is March 3rd, but I want to kind of just take a few seconds because there are a couple things in here that I want to review with you. So if you're passing this on and your students have questions, any of the students that are from the following school districts can apply. The other piece to this is that the students must be a completer of a 2-year CTE pathway. So that is a very important thing. That's also another way for us to help promote completers so that it reflects the good work that our districts are doing. So we really appreciate that, and we're excited about that. So it's basically some questions that the students will answer, filling in the blanks, going down, graduation date, the pathway in which they completed. Some students may have completed multiple pathways. That's wonderful. Go ahead and put that in there. Then there is a pathway GPA calculation. I have created a video so the students that might be a little struggling on how to calculate their GPA, we have modeled that off the calculation of a college GPA for students. So that video will show and walk them right through how to do that. In their pathway, they can talk about projects or experiences that they had, upload their transcripts, and then the piece that we also need is, because the scholarship is due March 3rd, there potentially could be in a class right now where they haven't completed that grade. So there will be an upload portion where their teacher can upload saying that this is the anticipated final grade for the student. So then they can calculate that into their GPA. Then they'll just give a short answer on what their post-high school plans are, their rationale behind that, and then what they would use the funding for. The really exciting piece about this scholarship that I personally find, I worked many years with students on filling out scholarships as an avid teacher, they have multiple options. We know that our CTE students work with their hands. They're not necessarily fond of writing lengthy essays, and as a scholarship evaluator, they're not always reading numerous ones is kind of tasking at time. Not that they're not wonderful, but the students can either write an essay, they can do a creative video, they can create a brochure, they can record a song, any creative outlet that they feel comfortable doing, and upload that to us, giving them a really good opportunity, especially in this time of lockdowns and coronavirus, giving them an opportunity to express excitement in any creative manner that they feel. So we are super excited about that. Again, the link, I will put that in just a second into that, and I also follow it up in a few minutes. So my question is, what type of senior can apply for the MDCP Oral Grande Foundation CTE scholarship?
So We also took your information, your feedback from our last session about, you know, bringing on our colleges to discuss what programs are offered. And, you know, so for that reason, we've asked Varsity Community College to jump on and provide that information and answer some of those questions that you guys are thinking about. So I would like to welcome Dr. Crystal Nacio. She's our CTE Dean for Barstow Community College. And then we have the Director of CTE, James Lee, as well. And Andrew Church, he's as well here to support with CTE from Barstow Community College. So we hope that you are going to stay with us to hear all the great programs that are going on at Barstow Community College. So Dr. Nacio and James and Andrew, please go ahead and take over the screen and.
Okay, great. So we're getting our presentation all powered up for you guys. And I just wanted to say thank you for having us, Carrie. You are amazing. And I love the partnership that we have with you guys. I just want you to know that it is super important to us at Barstow that we provide a level of service to you guys as high schools, so that you know that we're there to serve the students. It's extremely important to us to provide relevant and updated curriculum with our college professors, and that we are in communication with you. So I will be putting my email in the chat box after my presentation today. Carrie has my cell phone number, so please do not hesitate to call me or text or send me an emoji, whatever you want to do, that's fine. We're just grateful that we're here and partnering. As Carrie stated, I'm Dr. Crystal Nacio. I am the Dean of Instruction for Barstow Community College with a specific area of workforce and economic development. James Lee is our director. He'll be on a little bit. He'll be on the presentation. Andrew Church is our student coordinator, and he is a wealth of knowledge, has been at college at Barstow Community College for some time and has a lot of information. Danielle Jeffers is specifically at the college to help job development. And then Michelle Burnt, who's our behind the scenes magician with all of our grant technician items. And all of you guys know that grant person is so important. And so we're really well equipped to help you guys. Today, we're going to introduce our programs. We're going to do a little presentation on why we're different and why we want you to choose Barstow. And also, we'll talk about the steps, some community outreach, what we do to help employers, and then we'll answer any questions you may have. So first, I wanted to show you who we are. So let's start the video. It's gonna keep kicking you out now. It's all good, James. Why don't we do this? Why don't we
I can share this whole PowerPoint in the chat too.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's totally fine. All right. So I'll keep going. So at Barstow, we have 15 programs, some of which you've already known for a long time, some of which are coming to you brand new, updated. So I do want you guys to know that at Barstow, our faculty spent the last 3 years updating our curriculum. And I don't know, you guys, we have some professors on the line, I'm sure. My goodness, we had 32 changes to our curriculum in the last 3 years, which all means great things for us in terms of how we are staying updated and making sure that we're staying connected. So I'm really excited to present to you the 15 programs. We have accounting, administration of justice, automotive, business administration, which has a big component in it called entrepreneurship. And I know we're really excited about that, so we'll chat about that a little bit later. Cosmetology, which I want to say our cosmetology program is the only one, literally the only one in Southern California that is fully functional right now because we decided to go virtual. And so our students are doing virtual online labs and they're doing really, really well. So we provide a lot of support for them. And so we're excited to say that we're actually moving forward. Child development, very, very important program, obviously. We have our computer business information, which is networking, cybersecurity, that programming, diesel technology, diesel technician, emergency medical technicians, industrial maintenance, electrical, so back to that mechatronics, right, idea. We have 2 programs that are very specific to that, but all of them are pretty much embedded with those hands-on skills. We have the industrial maintenance mechanic, we have management, photography, warehouse, and logistics. This is like my unsung hero degree right here. I don't know why more students aren't just like flocking in, because I know I do not go a day without an Amazon package. I just don't know if my life would be okay if I didn't have an Amazon right now. So awesome career opportunities. We're in communication with Amazon right now about creating additional programming and partnerships. And then, of course, our tried and true and fantastic welding program with our BNSF partner that has been with us for decades. So we're so pleased. What we really excited to show to you guys today is our stackable degrees. That those 32 changes that I talked to you about, well, many of them were to try to get our students a resume that had some very important skills in it. Okay, so we all know you can have a resume with a degree and they just kind of look past you like, yeah, okay, whatever. But if you don't have those skills embedded within, the employers will just kind of think you're just another book nerd. They don't really care. So what we decided to do was we created certificates that are completely embedded within our associate degree programs. So the idea is, quite honestly, as a student goes through their 2-year program, they are collecting these certificates as they go along. So it's a really important part of Barstow. The faculty really were the drivers on these changes. So I joke about this one. Computer Business Information Systems is like the Panera menu. It's like pick 2, right? So you've got your associate's degree in Computer Business Information Systems, and then you are asked to pick 2 certificates to get towards your associate's degree. So you could do, Microsoft Office, you could do Linux, Unix administrator, management, information systems, cybersecurity, or network, or whatever combination you want to do. And when you get 2 of those, your associate's degree is complete. So that's really exciting. All of our programs are moving in this direction, which is obviously the direction that our employers want. So we're just going to quickly go through. This is our fantastic Administration of Justice program. This is a completely online program, and I do want to say it is fantastic. There's really been a lot of effort on the ideas of equity and justice and social justice that are embedded in this program. We've got some fantastic faculty members that are really involved. So really excited about this programming. Next slide. Business programs, my goodness. This one is exploding. We are so pleased. We just launched our entrepreneurship certificate 2 semesters ago. This semester, we were full to capacity, you guys, full on an online program. So we're so excited. There's so much connection to what's happening right now in terms of the recovery of our economy that is so important in entrepreneurship. The idea is very simple. How do we teach people to pivot their minds so that they can have livable wages in any crisis, right? So the idea is, how do we get them to start thinking about changing whatever they need to do so that they can continue to move things forward? So very exciting, 4 certificates in that area of business. Next slide. Child development, just our tried and true program. My goodness, this one is, we are busting at the seams always. Another fantastic thing is that the faculty for this particular program, when COVID hit, they got to work. They went straight to the state, and they started working specifically on what does it look like for us, because we can't get in those classrooms now. So our students are completing their programming in a virtual setting. So it's just like this with little kiddos, and they're helping out in the classroom. It is the best thing. Students are not skipping a beat, and we're grateful for that. Computer business, I don't know if there isn't a day that we don't hear about some big company or XYZ getting hacked into, right? And so it is so important for us to understand that our programming needs to be relevant to what's happening today. Everything is by technology. And so computer business information systems, I've already talked 1,000 times about this, but you can see just even by that sheer number on that flyer, 546,000 jobs. That's over 500,000 jobs in this area in the US. Go ahead. Again, warehouse and logistics, my goodness, can I just get everybody to take this program, because this is the wave of the future. In fact, speaking of waves of the future, Barstow is partnering with Education VR, and we're going to be working on a virtual reality, first ever virtual reality simulation for warehouse. And so we are actually going to embed within our programming, you know, the idea that the student stands or VRs themselves into a warehouse and has to figure out the various critical elements of it. It's fantastic. We're going to be doing that pilot this year, and we're grateful to have been chosen as a college to do that. Dual enrollment difference, right? So you can do dual enrollment anywhere you would like, but I would love for you to only pick Barstow. Of course, that's selfish, but I do want you to know that I'm so grateful for every partnership you have with us. And I do want to say that at the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you actual numbers of your high school grads at our school, and you're going to be astounded. So I want to say congratulations ahead of time. So once a BC student is with us, whether they're in dual enrollment, whether they're first-time student, whatever, they are our student. We take ownership of them, okay? So as a result, BCC has made the commitment, even in dual enrollment, to offer tutoring services, Canvas support, counseling services, Office 365. If the students need a technology loan program, we help. We have library services. We have transfer and career services. Our college was one of 14 of the 117 or 16 California community colleges to receive the basic needs grant. And so now we're providing a food pantry. We're providing homeless and housing insecurity. We have a mental health counselor full-time with us who's unfortunately been extremely busy during this time. As we know, it's very, very stressful to our students, but we're grateful that she's there. And then we also provide all the additional resources that we have. And now I think it is James.
Yes, thank you for the handoff. So one way for students and even facilitators, counselors to kind of stay in the loop on what's going on with Barstow Community College is our Barstow Community College app. There's an app for everything nowadays, so just another one to add to the phone. Things like, which I'll share a link in the chat, we have scholarships open right now with a deadline of February 28th. So I really want to encourage you guys to kind of share that information. There's a lot of money that we have that the foundation raises that, and then a lot of times we have a limited number of applicants. So we just want to kind of spread that funding around to everybody. And you can find that app on the App Store or Play Store on your phone. So a lot of times when students are enrolling with BCC, a lot of our programs kind of have a starting point or an introductory course. So a lot of these will be through articulation as well, but these are some of the courses that we encourage students to kind of begin with. So even with the numbering, a lot of times you'll notice, ADJU 1, CBIZ 1. So the sequence of the actual courses will kind of guide the students through those programs. And then students who may not have a pathway identified or defined, either SDev 1, our student development courses, or SDev 5, college success and career and life planning. Those are two good introductory courses for students who may not have a pathway. All right, so our partnership and kind of the commitments on our end, as well as the commitment on the high school in relation to dual enrollment. So one of the things we kind of do behind the scenes through advisory and other mechanisms is we really try and provide the most relevant instruction and programming that we can. That video that was shown earlier in the presentation on mechatronics, that's a good example. Those are the kind of discussions that we're having ongoing with industry. So we really want to offer, the programs that students are seeking that are relevant in industry.
Hey, Dave, can I jump in real quick? Hey guys, I just want to clarify that this for James, this what's it called? Pipelines of Promise. This is for the Barstow College region. So when you're talking tuition covered by Barstow College, this is not the VDC Barstow. This is not the entire high desert. So we're focused specifically on the Barstow region here. So, Barstow, Silver Valley, Baker, and some of those areas for some of these programs. So just want to clarify that.
Yep, sure. That's correct.
And same thing with dual enrollments. So that's for the Barstow, the dual concurrent enrollment.
Our high school partners. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so, and as Dr. Nacio kind of mentioned, the services that we provide. Andrew Church, he's on the call. He's our kind of student coordinator. He works a lot with the facilitators, coordinators, counselors, students, parents. We really provide really one-on-one working with the students through the admissions, the dual enrollment process. And then one of the great things about the dual enrollment is all the enrollment fees are waived, so the students won't have out-of-pocket expenses. And on the high school side, what we kind of ask in these partnerships are really work with students, identifying what students may show interest in CTE. Work with our staff and us on working with the students through the matriculation process, admissions, the dual enrollment forms. We're really asking for a long-term partnership. We're here. Definitely in the Barstow region, there's not a lot of other options. So we really provide that regular communication with you guys to keep you in the loop on what's going on. And we actually created a fact sheet with a lot of information I'll share in the chat too, just kind of a snapshot with a lot of hyperlinks to websites and stuff. And that's just one example of, how we're trying to keep those lines of communication open. And then the textbooks and materials, that is out-of-pocket expense for students. There has been momentum on trying to get free or low cost resources for a lot of the classes, and that's indicated on the schedule of classes, which ones they call them open educational resources. All right, so I'm going to go through the steps pretty quickly. Again, I'll share this PowerPoint in the chat. So really it's a 4-step process, fairly simple. The students are going to complete the BCC admissions application. That'll give them, after that processes, they'll get their student ID. Then there's a 1-page form, the dual enrollment recommendation form, which identifies the student. You get the parent, guardian consent, and the principal or designee at the high school, and then basically just attend the class. And this is kind of detailed information on each of these steps. I won't go through all this due to the time. But information on how to get the student ID once the application processes, links to the form and that process with some additional information, and then pretty much attend class. We have a lot in the virtual setting. We have a lot set up to support students. I know they have embedded tutors. They're doing Canvas workshops, single sign-on, and then Andrew can also provide that support as well. And then finally, once you complete the class and you're ready to, there may be opportunities for dual credit at some of the high schools. And then this transcript, you know, once you completed the coursework with BCC, you can get the transcript to either transfer or provide that to employers.
All right. Well, I just want to say that, again, thank you, James, for covering all this. I think the point is, I want you to know that we're here to partner, we're here to help you, and that James Lee has been our articulation coordinator extraordinaire, plus a bunch of other things for a long period of time, so you guys all pretty much know him. But I do know that we are available and there to help you. I do want to say that we have a big congratulations to Barstow, and I wanted to bring this up. We received a national grant and national award from NACE, the National Association of Community College and Entrepreneurship, for our trades program, specifically mechatronics, again, specifically going back to how do we implement all of those skills into this programming. This particular program is actually going to be a non-credit programming with 8 trade skills, including electrical and welding and construction and plumbing. So all of those areas are going to be covered with this. So I just wanted to bring that up. Big congratulations if you haven't seen that in the news lately. Go ahead. This is the programming. We can send you information. It's really good for you guys to share this out to your community members, parents, especially, and get them to look at it. We have 2 programs, 2 pathways right now. We'll move forward past this video because we're having video problems today, so we're not going to go there again. But I do want to say our employment partnerships are extremely important. You know, program advisory committee. We have an annual program advisory committee. We had 74 members of the employment industry at our October 20th meeting. We are really listening. We have to make sure that we're staying in the know. We're working through what's called a program. It's called an interview guarantee or premier partnerships. So all of our employers, we're actually asking them to please commit to interviewing our graduates. And so that is something that we're looking forward to. And I know that employment and tracking is like the name of the day. You know, Carrie's presentation could not have made it clearer that it's our responsibility to track these students. So this is one of our ways of helping you guys with that as well. Okay, so we're going to switch over to another presentation on your actual high schools to give you one by one of how many students are here with us. Any questions as we switch that presentation? Just unmute yourself. No? All right. Okay, cool. These are your high school stats. So I just wanted to give you guys this information hot off the presses. This is the current students at Barstow. Go ahead. Next slide. Yeah. Oh, wrong way. Yeah. Do you have it?
Yeah, sorry, it's not letting me advance slides. Let me pull this over here.
All right, that's fine too. Okay, your high school graduates at BCC, we have 1,436 non-duplicated students from these high schools. So big thank you for that. What it means to me is that the students are seeing the value of heading to a community college and receiving free tuition in their first couple of years, in addition to all the programming that we offer. So I'm grateful to these high schools for participating. We can go one by one, but I do want to respect our time. So Barstow High School, altogether, there's 955 students from Barstow High School at Barstow Community College right now. So congratulations to Barstow. Apple Valley, can you push to Apple Valley? There's, yeah. So, oh, and so if you want this, I can get this to you. No big deal. Okay, it was already done. It's already created. But we actually went the extra step and disaggregated by our majors that we have at each of the campuses. So, I mean, each of the programs. So you can see here at Apple Valley, there's 107 non-duplicated students, many of which are choosing our CTE programming. Next slide. Barstow, our big 955, awesome job, Barstow. Again, huge numbers in our CTE programming, a lot in our general education as well. I do want to say that Barstow is celebrating a very important date coming up soon for our online programming. We have been in the biz way longer than all these people who had to come on board with online programming because of COVID. I myself took a Barstow Community College online class 2 decades ago. So let's just say that's you know, putting my name out there and my age out there, but you know, it is what it is. Barstow, we have been doing online programming for a very long time, and we are really good at it. Go ahead, next slide. Hesperia, 95 students. Again, big presence in our general education as well as CTE. Congrats on that. Next. Lucerne Valley, 15, but not a problem. Still choosing to do our programming in CTE. Oak Hills, 51 students. Serrano, yes, 43, I think. And Silver Valley, 173 from Silver Valley. Congrats, huge, huge number. And you can see that there's a lot of folks that are choosing CTE. But I do want to say an opportunity is with undeclared, right? So let's try to get those students declared. Let's get them in CTE because we do know that eventually they're going to get that job. And then Silverado, 118, and Sultana, 61. So great job, everyone. I just wanted to let you know that we're here to serve and we're here to help you in any way possible. Is that all that we need, Carrie? I think we're good, right?
Awesome. It's so great to see, you know, where our students are ending up after high school, because, you know, after high school, it's their choice. And it looks like there are some great opportunities that you're providing our region. So we thank you for that.
Of course, we're here to help. I'm putting my email in the chat box as well as James. Awesome. So you guys can have that. We just submitted our CTE quick guide. This quick guide, I would recommend you downloading. It has hyperlinks to everything from financial aid to admissions process.
And as Dr. Nacio said, you know, you can reach out to me as well if you have any kind of questions that you want me to follow up on as well with Barstow Community College. So let me know how we can support what you guys have going on and reach out to your community. And I believe I just wanted to mention, is there, you know, we would like to present to parents and students in Barstow region. So we're working on a presentation for them, and we'll let you know when that will be happening and how to participate in that.
Thanks, Barstow, for sharing some of your programs and details. It's great information. As I mentioned earlier, for my intro, folks, next time we're together in March, Victor Valley College will be presenting. So Dr. Engelson and her team weren't available to make it today. So we'll get them and some CT information and good stuff for you in March. So you'll have the whole picture between the two local colleges. And thank you for the good information, and I look forward to some continued success.